Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Fellowship of Nanaimo. Our mission is to create spiritual connection and bring compassion, discovery, and social justice to life. My name is Catherine Hazel, and I am your service leader this morning. My pronouns are she, her. Let's say hello to everyone attending on Zoom and turn around and wave to the frog. Whatever your hopes, dreams, and aspirations, whatever your race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, whatever makes you who you are warmly welcomed here. In keeping with our Unitarian Universalist aspiration of radical inclusion, we invite you to share your pronouns as well as your name if you are comfortable doing so. We have a diversity of voices on Sunday mornings, so our services vary from week to week. They usually run from 60 to 75 minutes. If this is your first time with us, a very special welcome to you. If you are joining us online, please consider sharing your contact information with us. You can do this by going to the chat icon at the bottom of your screen and typing it in there. We'd love to welcome you to the community. We have a wonderful website, ufon.ca, and invite you to check it out for more detailed information about who we are, the services we offer, and how you can connect with us. We acknowledge today that we meet on the traditional territory of the Snuneymuxw First Nation. As Unitarians, we are committed to the work of reconciliation required to address the harm done to all Indigenous peoples and their cultures by non-Indigenous peoples. We have much to learn from the Indigenous perspective that the earth is the source of all life and that our responsibility is to honor and care for it. And now it's time for the announcements. Do you have any comments, concerns, or compliments for the Sunday Services Committee? We actually received a compliment in response to this last week. If you do, you can easily reach all the members of the committee, Catherine Walker, Rupert Raj, Leah Hokinson, Reverend Debra Faulk, Reilly Yeo, and myself by emailing sundayservices@ufon.ca. We'd love to hear from you. And just when you thought it was over, the big cleanup of the fellowship continues. Tony Turner, our board president, and Martha Costco, a longtime member of the fellowship, will be going through the 15 or so boxes of documents stored in the minister's office and the boardroom to decide what to keep, toss, or shred. Then, on Saturday, March 8th, starting at 11:30 a.m., we'll find the places to store, toss, or shred the contents of the boxes. John Soar has kindly offered his truck. What we need now are volunteers to move the boxes when we know what we're doing with them. I'd like to call on Larry Bolt now for a special announcement.
Just a quick thing. As you know, I'm the treasurer with the board, and it's tax season, and just see me at the back of the room after the service is over to get your tax receipts for your pledges from the past church year. Thanks. Or fiscal calendar year.
To find out about all the special events, groups, and meetings taking place in the fellowship, either go to the calendar on our website or read the weekly update email sent to you on Fridays. Let us now enter into sacred time. Leah Hokinson, our musical director, and our choir, the fabulous Fufonics, will lead us into worship through music.
Good morning, everybody. Our music this morning is a chant that is based on an excerpt from a poem by the Sufi poet Rumi. And the poem goes like this. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. And we sing this in the spirit of living from our center and the necessity of being quiet and quieting our minds in order to do that.
That was lovely. And I just had to wait for Ruth, who's doing so many things today. Thank you, Ruth.
Camera's almost on you.
Almost.
Okay. Good to go.
I am just recovering from this year's nasty flu, and it was nasty. So I'm going to stay away from the podium so I don't do anything to infect the mic for KJ. I'll be speaking from here for the day. Our gathering words are from the Reverend Angela Herrera. We gather in reverence for what is holy this day, bringing many names for the sacred. From our common journey, we join as one community, one body of people, standing on the side of love. Among us, the weary, the sick, the heartbroken, the joyful, the light of heart, the brave. One people in one circle of life, moved by the same spark. In covenant together, we answer a call of justice, speaking out against oppression, reaching out to a wider world that teaches us, humbles us, and heals us as we work to heal it. We give thanks for this call, O love, our source, though it is not always easy. We arrive through these doors with many private burdens, with secrets and regrets. We are in need of forgiveness and in danger of despair. A greater spirit, a greater story moves in this place, one in which our world may be reborn again and again anew, because the sacred dwells among us and blesses our yearning for wholeness. Let us have the courage to go out into the world and change it, to bring the world into ourselves and be changed. Let us speak out with courage and act with compassion. May our journeys of spirit and of purpose and mission always be life-affirming and for justice, always standing on the side of love.
Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life. And these are the words of Eric A. Heller Wagner.
Time for all ages. No, we're going to sing a song first, aren't we? I need the song to introduce the time for all ages, so let's do that first, okay?
So please rise in body or in spirit, and we will sing together, Open the Door, by Joyce Poley.
Thank you.
Now, the reason I wanted to play that song first is because Joyce Poley, the composer of that, is a Unitarian Universalist who lives in Vancouver and became a friend through our relationship with the Elliott Institute, the Unitarian Universalist family camp in Washington State. When I was getting to know Joyce there now some 40 years ago, it's scary to say, I told her the story about my childhood of waiting to go to the big kids' school. Our house was on the same block as the school, and I would watch the big kids go, and I couldn't wait to be one. And finally, grade 1, and I got to go to the big kids' school. And when I got there, my grade 1 teacher, Mrs. Cook, started a choir, and I was exuberant about joining. However, Mrs. Cook told me I couldn't sing. This is not a story that is mine alone. Many people suffered this. However, it came into me, and I just carried that I couldn't sing for a long time. And Joyce said, everyone can sing. She said, everyone ought to be in the choir. I love it here when the choir gets up and half of the group stands up. Everyone's in the choir. Another song that Joyce sings, she didn't actually compose it, is All God's Critters Got a Place in the Choir. And through the process of talking with her and some other deeper work, I eventually wrote my own song. And I sang it on the stage at Elliott with my daughter for the first time when I did it in public. It was scary, it was so risky, and yet that is part of why we come into community, is to be able to take risk, to not be shamed by our attempts. And so, if you're willing, I'd like to share my song. Those in the choir, you need to just be gracious with my voice also being sick. And it's scary for me. There's a place in myself where I go. It's a place that I may know. It's in you and in me, in the eagle tree. It's a place where we all are as one. As I wander this path by myself, leaping, jumping like some little elf, laughter is found, and there's joy that abounds, laughing joy where we all are as one. As you wander this path on your own, with a deep sense of being alone, if you look in my eyes, see the tears that you've cried, crystal tear where we all are as one. As we wander this path, you and me, each with our own destiny, like the salmon that spawns as the deer with her fawn, web of life where we all are as one. Yes, there's a place in myself where I go. It's a place that all may know. It's in you and in me, in the eagle tree. It's a place where we all are as one. And that was healing. Many stories about that song, but for now, let us sing our way into the next part of the service.
As a spiritual community, it is our intention to be authentically present to one another, especially in these difficult times. One way we do this is by taking time in the service to listen to the significant personal milestones in our lives. If you have had such a milestone and wish to share it, now is the time to do so. We'll begin with those of you in the hall, and then we'll invite those attending via Zoom. As I place this final pebble in the water bowl for the joys and concerns that have been left unspoken, I ask that you hold in your heart everything that you have heard and felt.
Making sure my mic is on? Yes. One of the very greatest joys in the life of a fellowship is the celebration of new members. In our free religious tradition, membership is especially important. When we recognize membership, we honor an individual's right to determine their own conscience and their ability and responsibility to act on what they believe to be true and good. When we recognize membership, we also honor the bonds of association and community. We remind ourselves that our ability to form close connection and share our lives with others is at the very core of who we are as human beings. There is no test of membership in our Unitarian Universalist congregations. Instead, visitors decide for themselves whether they belong. If you are new here, you are invited to spend time with us to experience fellowship life. You decide whether the Unitarian principles and this fellowship are a good fit for you, and if they are, whether you would like to be a full voting participant in the life of this community. As a self-governing fellowship, we turn to our elected and volunteer leaders to conduct these ceremonies, to share the ministry. Tony Turner, Chair of the Board, please join me.
It is my honor and privilege to invite forward those who have decided to join our fellowship at this time.
Just step back.
Yeah. Taylor Sinclair, Bill Atchison, Liz Kopp, and George Villick. And we also formally recognize Diane Filipov's membership today.
I guess Liz didn't make it.
Okay. Membership in this community is both simple and challenging. It is simple because we have no set creed, but maintain an open door to those who share our values. It is challenging because those who join us have made a personal decision to become part of a religious community that is searching for truth, struggling for justice, and attempting to live in love.
Commitment to beloved community requires commitment and perseverance, generosity and gratitude, bringing one's whole self and being open to the fullness of others. This is no easy task. It is of amazing worth. All of us together, please. Our agreement together is that we will celebrate each other in our diversity, and that we will take responsibility, personally and together, for the world in which we live. If we are to prosper as a community, each of us must contribute to the ongoing life of the group and find meaning in such participation. The three of you together.
In joining this community as a free and responsible person, I acknowledge my desire to be and to become and to belong to and help build a free and responsible religious community, a beloved community.
Congregation, please.
To you, community, we extend our welcome. May our journey together be rich and fulfilling. May it bring our shared aims and ideals more fully to realization.
Welcome. And following the service, we will have cake and photos. And those who haven't already done so will sign the membership book. We have a few gifts to offer to you. We have a personal chalice.
Yes, you can pick your chalice.
We have your official name tags.
Yes. They're in the package.
And an envelope full of all kinds of wonderful information. And I wish I could hug you, and I'm not going to. And now please offer your applause and resoundingly exclaim, welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. You can be seated.
Welcome.
Okay.
And to Diane Philippa, welcome.
Let us just take a moment now, after all that resounding yahoo, to just center ourselves again, to be present and quiet with each other. And following these words, there will be a minute of silence, and then Leah will beautifully lead us out of the silence with music. A hymn you may be familiar with. And she will just play the first verse, and then I invite you to rise in body and spirit and join in singing if you like, when our heart is in a holy place. Another song by Joyce Poley. Our centering words come from Sarah Morris Campbell. Spirit of life, fill our hearts and cleanse us. Remove the resentments that create walls between us. Remove the jealousies that make us small. Remove the fears and guilts that close us into ourselves. Cleanse us and empty us of these things so that we may know the force and the power and the fullness of the love that reconciles us to ourselves, to one another, and to life. Give us in these moments of quiet the power of love that forgives us when we fail ourselves, that allows us to ask for forgiveness, that empowers us to forgive. With forgiveness, lift us into new ways of loving. Free us to care for ourselves, to care for our families, to care for our friends, to care for strangers. With caring, open us to new ways of giving. Free us to give our time, to give our affection, to give our affirmation, to give ourselves. Grateful for the love that nourishes us, we celebrate its power to renew us, to change us, and to give us hope. This is how the Spirit dresses up. In the bird's song, in a baby's cry, in laughter among friends, the sobs and wails of loss, I hear you. In a sunset, a glacial peak, the unimaginable color of flowers, waterfalls and rainbows, the ocean's crash, and starlit nights, I see you. Comfort given another in pain, joy of holding a wanted newborn, peace in a circle of friends, fulfillment in working for justice. I feel you. When the bones ache weary with more to do, then calm comes. When witnessing the power of presence and humility comes. When despair and longing grip the soul, and release comes. When joy in loving seems too big to hold, and serenity comes. I know you, am of you, we are one. I wrote that while engaged in the Whose Are We? A theological conversation, a 2-year program in 2011 till 13 through the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association. In describing the program on their website, there's a quote from a Quaker teacher, Douglas Steer, who says that the ancient question, "What am I?" inevitably leads to a deeper one, "Whose am I?" Because there is no identity outside of relationship, you can't be a person by yourself. To ask, "Whose am I?" is to extend the question far beyond the little self-absorbed and wonder, who needs you? Who loves you? To whom are you accountable? To whom do you answer? Whose life is altered by your choices? And with whose lives is your own bound up inextricably in obvious and invisible ways? Similarly, as a collective body, we Unitarian Universalists have expended a great deal of energy talking about the enduring core of our identity. Who are we? Who are we really? And this has led to deeper conversation. Whose are we? Which points to the idea that we are part of something larger, which both includes and transcends us. Now, as a minister, we do this sort of theological wrestling, and we name it thus. We all wrestle with these sorts of questions, though we may not call it theological wrestling. The invitation here is to perhaps expand the idea of theology, the idea of who or what we are ultimately accountable to and guided by. What values inform our living? What is central to your understanding of how to be an active agent contributing and participating in the great web of life? This is the essence of theological exploration, this notion of ultimate authority and accountability. It is about how we make choices, what guides us in making them, and also what sustains us both in the joys and the trials of living an authentic life. We're meaning-making creatures, and we ask big questions and we seek understanding. It is, I would suggest, a prime reason for coming together as a faith community, searching for answers, recognizing we are part of and understanding our place in the interdependent web of existence, the greater whole. Now, we have each made a choice to be here today, to be part of a community willing to ask big questions, and to the possibility of being changed as we explore the answers, knowing that this is a lifelong process. Central to our shared theology is the understanding that as we gain new insights and knowledge, we may be altered. I know, change can be resisted, and yet we stay engaged and in relationship with ourselves and each other and the greater whole. We commit to this ongoing process of a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. More than 200 years ago, Unitarian minister and theologian William Ellery Channing articulated this beautifully. And I would like to invite KJ to join me in a responsive reading of his words. Now, I do want to mention it was 200 years ago, so some of the language might seem a little different than what we might use. I'm going to invite this side of the room to join KJ in the italicized, if you choose, or you may just listen. The solid text can join, this side of the room can join me. And those of you online, stay muted and join wherever you feel. This is a free line from William Ellery Channing from 200 years ago. I call that mind free, which masters the senses and which recognizes its own reality and greatness.
Which passes life, not in asking what it shall eat or drink, but in hungering, thirsting, and seeking after righteousness.
I call that mind free, which jealously guards its intellectual...
Wrong side. There we go. Which jealousy guards.
Let's start that over. I call that mind free, which jealously guards its intellectual rights and powers, which does not content itself with a passive or hereditary faith.
Which opens itself to light whensoever it may come, which receives new truth as an angel from heaven.
I call that mind free, which not passively framed by an outward circumstance, and is not the creature of accidental impulse.
Which discovers everywhere the radiant signatures of the infinite Spirit, and in them finds help to its own spiritual enlargement.
I call that mind free, which protects itself against the usurpations of society and which does not cower to human opinion.
Which refuses to be the slave or tool of the many or of the few, and guards its empire over itself as nobler than the empire of the world.
I call that mind free, which resists the bondage of habit, which does not mechanically copy the past, nor live on its old virtues.
But which listens to and higher conditions of conscience, and rejoices to pour itself forth in fresh and higher exertions.
I call that mind free which sets no bounds to its love, which, wherever they are seen, delights in virtues and sympathizes with suffering.
Which recognizes in all human beings the image of God and the rights of God's children, and offers itself up a willing sacrifice to the cause of humankind.
I call that mind free which has cast off all fear but that of wrongdoing, and which no menace or peril can enthrall.
Which is calm in the midst of tumults, and possesses itself, though all else be lost.
200 years ago, with free minds, open hearts, and emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim that we are answering the call of love. This is our bold theology, love at the center and love as a guide. For me, the question is often not WWJD, but what would love do? This is more than my optimistic perspective. I'm reminded of a video about an amazing work of Boyan Slat. Is that name familiar? He's a young Dutch inventor and entrepreneur who at the age of 16 created a process for cleaning plastics out of the ocean. And he is now the CEO of Oceans Cleanup. Much of his work was crowdfunded Amazing and inspirational. Anyway, the quote that so caught my attention was him saying, "Pessimism is what maintains the status quo." Wow, does that ring true now? Pessimism maintains the status quo. Sure is present these days. This sense of pessimism and fear is being perpetuated and magnified. Expressions of what I remember Naomi Klein calling the shock doctrine, a way to manipulate people and suppress civic engagement, has run amok. I believe that our Unitarian Universalist communities are an antidote for this pessimism and fear. That our theology with love at the center, the rallying cry of answering its call, needs to be interpreted not as some naive response or as a passive intention. It is a call to action and a sanctuary of hope. I don't know about you, but there are some days when the news and the events of the world leave me feeling battered, weary to the bone, and depressed. And then I'm called back to love. In an article in Psychology Today, it says that love is critical for your mind and body as oxygen. It's not negotiable. The more connected you are, the healthier you will be both physically and emotionally. The less connected you are, the more you are at risk. It is also true that the less love you have, the more depression you are likely to experience in your life. Love is probably the best antidepressant there is because of one of the most common sources of depression is feeling unloved. Wow, love is medicinal too. The love that's being lifted up here and in the song Standing on the Side of Love, which we'll sing after my words, is that universal limitless love, the agape love. Now, agape love is selfless love committed to the well-being of others. Agape is concerned for the fulfillment of the needs of all, does not play favorites. It's not love that's given with no thought of return. Agape supports the weak and vulnerable as well as the able-bodied. The work of agape is the work of all people, paid or unpaid, that help to sustain the present and coming generations. This includes all of life, not just human beings. And selfless love is not self-sacrificing. It is rather engage in the world self-full, so that we can do the work of justice, recognizing that we need our love tank refilled at times in order to do this work, to respond to this call in a healthy way. This community is a love refueling station. This community is a love refueling station. Agape love given with no thought of return is not sacrificial. It is letting love lead the way without necessarily knowing the outcome, without what's in it for me being a motivation. There will be consequence of greater health and less depression. Yet, that is not the motivation either. It is merely a fringe benefit. This notion of being the love people, of standing on the side of love, is more than a slogan of this moment. It has long been a foundation of this liberal faith tradition. Example of 200 years ago, William Ellery Channing. And while the early pillars were named as truth, reason, and tolerance, these qualities could never be engaged without a theological orientation of this agape kind of love. There's one of the readings in our great hymnal, and this is part of a covenant adopted by the Church of All Souls in Evanston, Illinois, in 1894. It says, "Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Love is the spirit and service the action." This is articulated in the Canadian Unitarian Council Vision Statement. Our interdependence calls us to love and justice. It is our connection, our relationships to each other, and the web of life, our radical interdependence that guides us, grounds us, and holds us. Answering the call of love is not a passive thing. It is an orientation to the world that demands our full involvement. It is an engaged theology. We have no certainty of where this response to love will lead, and I'm certain it will be out of depression and into possibility, away from a sense of impotence so present these days, and into a life of deeper meaning and purpose. This is no easy faith. It takes courage and it takes each other. Pessimism is what maintains the status quo. Optimism leads to innovation. So if we truly wish to be agents of transformation, so needed today, then we need to buoy up each other with love and optimism. Not saccharine love or naive optimism, rather harnessing of the power of love and the inspiration of innovative optimism. May we know this in our whole being and carry it into the world, and may we also know that when we are weary, we have sanctuary of love, a refueling station here with these people, and let us answer the call of love. May it be so, and may we sing it out loudly. Please rise in body or in spirit for answering the call of love.
Now that people are attending services both in the hall and online, we have updated how we accept donations and pledges to support the fellowship. If you're in the hall, Charlotte Joyner and Sharon Bolt will now pass the baskets for the collection. If this is your first time with us, your presence is your contribution. Those online can go to our website and click the big blue donate button on the homepage and follow the instructions to donate via e-transfer or check. To help the wider community, 50% of all anonymous donations received are donated to the designated charity of the month. Our charity this month is Echo Justice, which began as the Sierra Legal Defense Fund back in 1990 in response to the Exxon Valdez disaster, then the world's worst oil spill. What started as two determined people working out of the back of a car is now a leading Canadian charity led by lawyers, scientists, and environmental experts. Echo Justice lawyers have been taking governments and polluters to court for 35 years, fighting for environmental justice at every level, free of charge. If you are donating online or by check and want your donation to go to Echo Justice, you'll need to make a note of that on the e-transfer or check. We are grateful for your offering. We are also grateful for the many people who made this service possible. Our nimble and hardworking AV team, the indefatigable Sunday Service Committee, the fabulous Foophonics, the board, and all of you who came this morning, either in person or on Zoom. Thank you.
We come to the end of the service. Our closing words are from Anne Mason. Spirit of life, your very presence among us is what gives us connection. Help us to sense that beneath our feet is the strength we need to keep us grounded. Help us to feel that behind our back is the protection we need to feel safe in facing our fears. Help us to know that before our eyes lies the beauty we seek to feel astounded. Help us to lift our heads high enough to be aware of the vastness of our sky and our spirit. And help us to know that within our hearts lies the love we need to complete the circle of connection in our lives. We are grateful, Spirit of love, for this day. Until we meet again, may we use all of these gifts, our feet, our backs, our eyes, our heads, and our hearts, to bring love into this hurting world, this world which we so value, which we cherish. May it be so.
And now it's time to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. We are almost at the end of our service. After we sing Carry the Flame, you can join a social group both online and in person. Breakout rooms will be available online for 30 minutes. We will have snacks and social time and cake in the hall after the service. We'll now sing our final song, Carry the Flame. The words are on both the back and side walls. Please stand as you are able and hold hands or touch elbows as you feel comfortable.
And we'll do elbow. Elbow. Is that Diane?
Well done. Good job.
Okay.